This will be the second lecture on chapter 6. But before we begin, I will briefly mention several things. So first, in last week's exercise class, the TA already gone through how to do the coding. So if you attended that exercise session, you might already have an idea how the entire coding homework should be done. And the homework due date for this homework 2 coding is, I believe, November 25th. So there are only a few weeks left for this coding homework. And today the homework 4 will be due. So I hope most of you have already submitted, and if you have not, please submit by 11 p.m. today. And the homework 5 about this chapter 6 is already out, so you can start today. I believe after today you should be able to finish every problem, or almost every problem. So in homework 5, is if you check the homework 5, problem 1, 2, 3 are required homework, and but starting from homework 4, this is actually almost optional. So what I mean is that the weight of this problem is only 1 in 100 points. So if you don't have time to finish that, just leave it there. So it's the same for homework problem 5, and there will be 1 point for each A and B each. So remember, the total of the homework weighs 100 points. And so it doesn't hurt you if you don't know how to finish these 2 problems. So try to finish the other problems first. So here I leave 1 point because I want to get an idea on how many of you finished these 2 homeworks. But remember that homework 6 is not optional. Sorry, problem 6. Yeah. Okay, so the problem 6 is actually one way to calculate homework 4 and 5. So homework 4 and 5 just provides additional method to calculate the same problem, just to actually try to help you understand the materials better. So I actually strongly recommend you to finish problem 4 and 5. But if it takes time, then you can put this at the end. But there are only 6 problems in this homework set, so this should be a relatively short homework. And right now, let me give you a rough idea about the midterm grade. So I hope every of you have already checked your score for the midterm. And if you haven't, please check and to see if there is any errors. I don't believe there are many errors, and if there are indeed errors, please submit a request, regrade request. And if you see somebody bragging about a grading mistake and somehow more points are awarded to you than expected, you can also report that person, and we will give you justice and deduct the point if that's a mistake. So try to find things about the midterm. I think I've sent some of you emails because I noticed a person is missing the homeworks. Is missing the exam. So one student actually submits the homework to the scratch paper bin. So somehow the exam was lost for a moment. So I hope that's not you. and please double check and see if everything is looking good. And even though the mean value of the midterm is not high, so it's I hope you've already seen that the average score is 42, but even though it's the mean is low, you have to get an idea of how you perform relative to this mean. So if say that if you get a score about 80, then you are expecting to receive a grade of A, and that is under the assumption that your homework is also doing similar to your midterm, and say if you did your final exactly the same as the midterm, so this grade only give you a rough idea. That's if I only consider the midterm grade. And if you get a 55 plus, then you are expecting to get a A minus. And if you get a 45 plus, you get about B plus. And if you reduce 10 points more, then you get a B. And if you have 25 plus, you get B minus. And if you have 20 plus, you get about C. But if your score falls below 20, you have to pay attention, and you might be possible to fail the class, like if you didn't improve in the finals. So and I hope some of you already received the email from me if you are below 20, and please check your emails and to see if you can talk to one of the TAs to see some ways to improve. So if your final is improved, there is still very large chance that you will pass the course. And if I don't see any improvement, then you might be failed for this class. So to help you prepare for the finals, I actually set up already a website that's summarizing everything in the course. So you can check the website here. So this red link is the link that taking you to the website for this course. But please don't share this link to anyone except the students here. And I limited the access to the websites for certain IPs. But if you are in the campus, you are definitely able to visit the website. And if you somehow cannot access the website, say that you are at home, and if you want to visit that website at home or on your mobile device, you can actually click on the link here. So this link will report your public IP address, and you can report that IP to me, and I can add your IP to whitelist and enable your access from either your home or mobile device. So if you check here, I believe that most of you should be able to access the website, right? Okay. So on the website, it contains almost everything. So I uploaded the PDF, the lecture recording, the homeworks, and even the previous year's exams already at the calendar page. So if you visit the website, it will look like this. And if you check, so this is the home page of the website. So here, this is the recent announcement, and you can check that right now the homework 4 is due, and the homework 5 is already out, and it will due in 10 days. And following this announcement, there will be just 2 recent calendars. So this is just the timeline of the course. So you can see that we are already on chapter 6, and we will go to chapter 7 very soon. So it will be starting the next week. So today we are at lecture 16, and the homework 4 is due today. So please remember to submit your homework. You can click on the link here. This will take you to the Gradescope, and you can download the homework by clicking on the link here. Now, if you check on the left, so here, this is a link that give you some background about the course, so you can find some resources about the course. And here, the calendar is simply the timeline. So here, this only includes a fraction of the timeline, right? Because it starts at chapter 6. So if you click on the calendar here, it will actually take you back from chapter 2 and 3, 4, 6, and they include everything there. So here, this is already contains a link to the PDF of the lecture notes. And here, this is the recording of the lecture 15 for the first session. And this is the recording of the lecture 15 of the second session. So you can click on this, and this will play the videos of the today's lecture recording will be placed here. So the media here will be slightly higher quality. So you are recommended to actually take a look at the videos here instead of from the Panepto. But you can still be able to access the video from Panepto if you want. And I believe I also included a link to the Panepto at the About page. And if you click on the news, then it will take you to a collection of news that's including the announcement here. And the schedule is simply the weekly time schedule for the course. So it will tell you when TAs are available for discussions. And the staff page simply tell you the how to contact me or the TAs. So this page is mobile friendly. So if you click on the website in a mobile device, then what you get is something like this. So, but what's different from the web page on the laptop is that this section is cropped out, but it's actually hidden in this menu item here. It's if you want to know how to write this web page, you can refer to the About page. So it basically this website, you just need to use a template and do some modifications and fill in the content. So this is a static web page, so it's actually not complicated to make. Okay, so you can check on the About page on how to make a website for, by yourself, and it's actually something useful if you are trying to advocate yourself on the website, and you can also apply for a domain by yourself. So this domain is .cf. It's a strange domain because this is free. So if you are looking for free domain names, you can apply one similar one that's ending with .cf. So here on the mobile website, this icon can be clicked. So if we click on this icon, you can actually see that it will give you back the links to the other pages. So it's simply hidden here. Okay, so let's talk about a bit more details about the exam, about the midterm. So I just gave you an idea of what's the grade and your relative rankings in the class right now, but I also have some more tips. Uh, let's see. So I noticed that some of you actually have quite a few problems that didn't have anything. So this is, I actually recommend you to at least write down something. So you might be surprised at what kind of points you might get if you simply write down something. So in the say in the home say in the question 6. So the question 6 has two problems, right? The 6b actually asks you what's the height that the oil rise, and that can balance the force of the gravity and the electromagnetic force. So in this question, if you are able to write down the F equals mgh for the gravity, then you will get 1 point. So if you write down that equation, then I know that you have already attended the class, so that is 1 point for this, for 1 easy point for the 6b. And I actually noticed a very interesting answer for this question, I think. Questions 5b, I think. So sorry, for question 6b, yeah. So in 6b, somehow one student was not able to, I don't know, either not have enough time to finish the problem, or somehow was stuck on the math. So, but he actually articulated the thought, like saying that from below on, what I will do is to write down the say the energy, say the force of this gravity, and equates the force of the electromagnetic force, but by taking a derivative of the total energy of the field with respect to the height, and then following this, I will be able to get the equation for the height, and then solving the equation for the height, and I will be able to get the results. So if you can write down your thoughts like this, then you actually can get quite a bit of points, because you've already get most of the physics right, and what you didn't get right is the details and the math. So because this is the physics course, so if you can get the majority of the physics right, you will be expecting to get the most of the points. But for some of you, I noticed that you are just throwing equations at the answer sheet. So here I saw that one portion you get a correct equation, another portion you get a wrong equation, and you seem to have two different answers to the same question. So that is not encouraged. And even though this time actually gave you partial points, but you are supposed to not receiving points if you have duplicate answers, or if you have partially correct or partially wrong answers, like providing two copies. So it's almost like you are having multiple attempts at the same question. So this is not this is discouraged. Um, and also in question 4, in question 3. Okay, so the question 4 is exactly identical to the in question 4. This question is exactly identical to the homework question, right? So but somehow only about 1/3 of you has successfully get this homework question completely correct, and about 1/3 of you makes a small mistake, but there is still about 1/3 of you that was not able to get the question 4, gets them. So about 1/3 of you missed a lot of the points in the question 4. So this is actually so this question is actually one of the easy questions in the homeworks. So you are supposed to be able to do the homeworks independently, especially those easy ones. Um, so the fact that you didn't get the homework for question 4 correctly actually reflects that somehow even though you might get it correct in the homeworks, but under pressure, then somehow you might not be able to think about physics correctly. So you are also encouraged to simply look at random questions in previous homeworks to see if you can immediately spit out the steps of how to do the homework programs. So I hope that this might be one of the ways that you prepare for the finals. So for question 3, so question 3 is a simplified version of the homework. So if you look at the midterm here, this is a function of r, but in the homework you might guess you are required to calculate the polarized potential, something like this. So in the homework, you are required to calculate in the spherical coordinate, and here, but see that this is the keyword. It's a cube, so you are supposed to do the calculations in the Cartesian coordinate because of the symmetry. But even if you do the homework, even if you do this problem in spherical coordinate, you can still be able to get the answer correctly, but it's slightly more complicated. So whenever you take a look at the problem, the first thing you want to do is to identify the best coordinate system you can use, and you are also allowed to switch between the coordinates. So if you see a keyword like a cube, then it's better to use Cartesian coordinate, and if you see a keyword like a cylinder, then you are recommended to use the cylindrical coordinate, and if you see a sphere, then apparently the spherical coordinates might be better. And so in the homework problem, you are only asked about the 3 points A and 3 point B, and that's the end. But here in the exams, you get a bonus question, and it's actually worth 3 points. So this question, like if you think carefully, this question is actually 3 points for you if you know the physics. So because the bound charge is always 0, right? So if you polarize the material, the bound charge are not going anywhere. It's still say that the electron is still near the atom and it cannot fly apart from the material. So the total bound charge should be exactly zero, no matter in which situation the problem is. So some of you actually didn't get the zero correctly, and I don't know if you are having too much pressure or you gone through the problem too quickly. But here this question is actually helping you to double check your answers. So if supposedly if you get something that's not zero, then you should revisit the previous two problems. So somehow about let me see. So in this again in this 3C, only 1/3 of you has get my point. So only 1/3 of you has this correct answer as zero, and about 2/3 of you actually give a wrong number because somehow you didn't get the A and B correctly, and when you sum them up, you get a number that's non-zero. And for some of you, you get the bound surface and the volume charge correctly, but somehow when do the integral, the total bound charge is not zero, and you are supposed to check your answers to see if they are physical or not. So when you are doing the questions, always try to double check your answers. Like you can check if it's zero, like if it has the correct unit, and if it's a vector or if it's a scalar, and did you get that correctly? So some simple sanity check is recommended for the exams. So your answers to question 3, about 1/3 of you gets the entire question 3 correctly, and about 1/3 of you didn't get any of these question 3 correctly, and about 1/3 of you get one question correctly. So for those that didn't get any of this question 3 correctly, so you have to go back to check if you have understood the divergence operator correctly. So I see that some of you try to apply the spherical coordinate of the divergence operator, say from the cheat sheet of from the cover page, but somehow you mistakenly copy down the divergence operator for the cylindrical coordinates, and so you need to double check to see if you can get the basic math correctly. So try to review the math if you are struggling with question 3. Okay, so let's go back to question 6, about question 6b. So we mentioned the question 6 in the lecture, right? So when we are discussing the force of the electromagnetic force for a parallel plate capacitor, the problem, the exercise that we finish in class is a parallel plate capacitor, and with a dielectric material sitting at the edge. And in this exercise, we talked about specifically how that this force can be pushing inwards, right? So and but even though in this problem it seems that if we take the naive approach by assuming that this parallel plate capacitor is ideal, then the force will not be along the left direction, right? The force can only be up or down. So, and I think I've emphasized that the force towards the left is due to the fringe field, like sitting near this edge of this material. So as for the fringe field is not perpendicular to the parallel plate capacitor. So this fringe field is responsible for the dragging force towards the left. And one student here actually write down the answer like because here in the ideal condition the force are always along the two plates, so the oil actually will not rise. So this is correct to the leading order, but not correct if you calculate the fringe field. So apparently you haven't listened to the lectures, or if you, so even though the physics is okay in the leading order, the dominant physics we are discussing here is missed. So you have to try to listen at least to the lectures. So then you won't miss the points here in the question 6. And also some general tips about the exam. So here the exams are typically short, right? So the midterm only has about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and even though the finals are slightly longer, the finals are about 3 hours for this course, but they're still relatively short compared to homeworks, and for homeworks you can even have open books. So what I'm saying is that you should be expecting the finals or the midterm to be of difficulty level similar to the homeworks, or sometimes most of the times should be easier than the homeworks. So I noticed that in the question 5 a lot of you actually gave very complicated results for this image method, and but if you look at the authors, I hope that you now already know that there only need to be one image point, right? And this how to calculate the position of the point has already been gone through in the lecture. We even discussed a very quick and shortcut to calculate the coefficient for the image charge and the position, right? So if you say that if you get a question 5 and you see, oh, it's too complicated, and then try to estimate the time that you are required to finish that question. If it's too long, then you should be suspicious, and at least you should what you should do is to skip this problem for now, and then to look at the problems next, and hopefully when you go back you might get the point here. So here this everything about like, so here in this problem there is a inner shell and a outer shell, and there is a plane here. So here this outer shell and this plane are all traps, and if you fall into this trap, then you have to think about the physics first. So do not never or do not simply throw your equation at the questions. So if you simply write down all these math equations, then they doesn't make sense. So try to always start your problem by thinking like what this means and say that this is trying to analyze the field everywhere and to see like what kind of method you need to apply. So here in the inside, definitely you cannot apply the Laplace equation because there is a charge here inside the cavity. So inside you have to use a Poisson's equation to solve, right? But outside, you can use the Laplace equation to solve this problem. So it's already given that v equals 0 at two shells, and v equals 0 at the at this plane. So here you should know that by uniqueness theorem, here this region should all have potential 0, and outside also has potential 0, right? So in this problem, what you need to consider is a very simple problem that's you can simplify the problem to here, and it's only a point charge with a sphere outside. So before you write anything, try to analyze the problem first. And so some additional general points is that for the exams, at least for my exams, you should expect the difficulty to be slightly increasing as the problem index becomes large. So problem 1 might be slightly easier than problem 2, and the last problem might be the hardest problem. So that's the general sense. So but in the case that you stuck on the middle problems, then if you spend too much time, you should skip and try the problems later. So you never know if it's possible that some of the problem might have traps, or that it falls into one of your blind spots that you were somehow missing one of the points, and if you are stuck on one problem, it might take you a long time to get out of this situation. Okay, so let's go back to question 4. So here the question 4 is identical to the homework, right? But if you go back to the lecture notes of lecture 1, or if you look at the syllabus, I actually highlighted in red that you are supposed to see homework problems may appear in exams, and I'm trying to encourage you to do the homeworks independently, and this is actually something already in the syllabus that you will be expecting some homework problem appearing in the exams. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to say about the midterms and also the finals. So the final for this lecture for the 3041 will be at December the 15th. Sorry, the December the 10th. So there aren't too many weeks left for the finals.
2 weeks left?
No, there are about 4 weeks. Not many weeks, I mean. So it's time for you to start thinking about preparing for the finals. So so don't be too late.
哇！你又真係俾人笑。我個杯佢得。呢條褲咯，呢隻手得。